Hey, and welcome back to the Emlyn in the Mix podcast, season 3, episode 14. Yes, we made it. A little bit of an earlier show this week, so hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing amazing and massive drops in the next 24 hours. It is actually my birthday today, but this is my birthday gift to you guys, as we're going to cover the usual excellent music technology, audio technology news. Now, if you're new to the podcast, that is exactly what it's about. If you like music gear, you like music technology, then this podcast is for you. And to the regular listeners, welcome back. We do have a bit of a special, different kind of podcast today because we're going to be featuring a company more than the others. Native Instruments getting a few shout outs here, and then we're going to be featuring their brand new instrument, the Playbox for the contact player. So stick around to the end because we're actually going to be delving into that a little bit. And yeah, enjoy the podcast. We've got a few pieces of news here. What's been happening in the world of music technology. Now, if you like this podcast, please consider leaving a review. You can do that in the podcast app, either on Android or iOS. Actually, I don't know about Android. I just put that in there, but definitely you can do it in the iOS and you can scroll down. And I believe even you should be able to do it in Spotify and just leave a review in there. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this content and leave a like on the way out. All right, with all of that out of the way, all the formalities per se, let's get stuck into what has been happening around the world in music technology. The first thing here comes to us from Ableton Live. It is the Microtuner. What is the Microtuner? Microtuner by Ableton is a MIDI device that lets you import, edit, and generate microtonal scales. Load scale files, create custom scales, and morph between tunings in real time, all with polyphony, MPE, and lead. MPE being the, today's new sort of word that we're using. I guess it's not really new. It's been around for a while now, but MPE seems to be all the rage. Follow modes to sync your scales across instruments. Now, when I first heard this Microtuner by Ableton, I thought, it sounds cool. And then it starts going, it sounds like a cacophony. Is that the right word? Of sounds, like the pitch isn't right to my ear. And I'm like, holy crap, this sounds terrible. But maybe this is a new genre. This is what people are into now, like just things that are out of tune. I personally have a distaste for that. But I think if you use it in clever ways, it could actually sound quite good. Just check out this demo. You'll probably hear what I mean. If you're a traditionalist in terms of music and tuning, you'll be like, whoa, what's going on? But I think it can be used creatively. Let's have a quick listen to the Microtuner. And it's by Ableton, of course. Here we go. See if we can blow this up. You can import your own scales. And you can load scales. Okay, here we go. Out of pitch. It all sounds good. Set that. Yeah, I think the morphing between scales is pretty cool, actually. And if done correctly, you can actually get it to sound pretty musical, which is excellent indeed. So you can tap into a broad range of scales and tuning system with Microtuner's import function, or build your own from scratch with a customizable scale generator. Import and sync tuning files. Microtuner supports scalar tuning files, which you can download for free from the Scalar archive. Just drag and drop the scale to a folder of scales into the device to get started. And if using multiple instances of Microtuner, you can sync tunings across instruments with the device. Now that's cool. Lead and follow modes, or by connecting it to an MTS ESP client plugin. So that just allows you to connect those two. I guess then they can play together. Edit scales and notes, auto tuning, file your import can be customized, tweak individual notes, transpose entire scales or modify bass frequencies as needed. The scale editor's follow button allows for incoming MIDI notes to set the pitch you're working on, so you can play sounds out as you edit them. Finally, a revert button reloads scales back to their original state. Now that's good too, because if you went off and you didn't know where your original scale was, that could totally freak you out. And then this is the part I like about this. So you can blend scales and add expression. Two separate scale decks mean you can blend two scales in real time using the device's dedicated slider knob, create shape-shifting arpeggios, re-cascaded chords, which is what we heard in that video just then, and morphing melodies as you move between tunings. Combine this with polyphonic synth that supports MPE, or add even more expressive depth to your sound. Now, for those who haven't been following the music technology and music gear world, MPE stands for MIDI Polyphonic Expressions. Basically, the brand new MIDI allows for more expressiveness and so forth. Get used to that word, get used to that abbreviation, or that acronym, sorry, because it's here to stay. We talk about MPE nearly every week at this stage. But anyway, that is the Microtuner from Ableton, a nice new addition from Ableton. Go check it out. I believe it's free. Is it really? That's cool. I didn't even know that. I thought it cost money, but here we go. That's a freebie. Love having freebies on this channel. If you use Ableton Live, there is no excuse not to check that out. Let's just double check it is free. It has a download button here. You do need the Max for Live devices, so if you don't have that. But yeah, I don't know. Download button's grayed out. We're not moving along here. Okay, quote me if I'm wrong. It looks free. Let's move on to our next product here. Comes to us from Waves, NX Germano Studios, New York. What is this? We've spoken about the NX software by Waves before. It's basically a virtual, it's pretty cool actually. If you haven't tried this out, you should at least try it out. So it's basically puts you in a virtual room. They've emulated the ambience. Can you believe this? We've not only gone from emulating analog synthesizers or drum machines or whatever it is, now we're emulating actual spaces of ambience. This is crazy. And what is the Waves NX Germano Studios New York, you might ask? Well, I'm going to ask the same question because I've not been to New York. I do not know about this studio, but apparently it's had some pretty heavy hitters in the music industry recording their albums there. So NX Germano Studios New York brings the A-list acoustics of the legendary New York studio to your home, of course. Originally known as the Hit Factory, to your own set of headphones. Monitor your mixes in a precise model of the iconic control room, complete with its custom-built stereo and surround monitoring systems. You can create better mixes anywhere, anytime. You gotta at least give this a go. I believe there's a demo. I think I've got the original studio. I think it's Abbey Roads or something like that. Let's have a watch of this video here. Legendary Studios. Oh yeah, you got some big names there. And it's now in your headphones. I'm just going to talk until
we started the Hit Factory in 1975. We're around heavy-duty major artists and major bands on a daily, weekly basis. NX Germano Studios plugin is a perfect match to being in the control room. It feels and moves the way it would be if you were here. This is something that's going to give people accuracy and punch and low end and things they're not going to experience in a home environment or most other studios that they would work at. The NX Germano Studios plugin gives you the ability to walk away with the best possible mix in your headphones.
Now, one thing to keep in mind actually is not only is it the emulation of the space, but you also are getting the 3 luscious monitors that they have in that particular recording studio. The emulation of those, you don't actually get those, but you're getting those. You can hear the different mix for each of those. Like I believe there was some NS10s there and some big speakers that you can use as well. And it's all there for you to not necessarily, I guess, pretend that you're in that environment, but give you a precise detail of how that would sound if you were mixing in that studio. Go check it out. I really like these products, the NX studio emulation things that they do by Waves. I think they're pretty cool. Go check it out. I mean, Waves, what is going on? Their plugins are so cheap for the last couple of years or more. They've just like $29.99 intro price, which is 85% off. It will go up after this intro price, of course, to, I believe, the full price $199, but $29.99. I mean, check it out first, see if that's for you. If you're going to mix in your headphones, that could be the way to go. All right, what else happened this last week? Well, yes, Baby Audio released a new plugin, and I also dropped a video for this. If you want to go check that out and you're listening on the podcast, head over to Emlyn in the Mix on YouTube. Check out the video I did there. But if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching this podcast, which we simulcast onto YouTube, then you're already at the Emlyn in the Mix YouTube channel. You can click on the channel after you've watched this video, of course, this podcast, and check out the review of Crystalline there. But what is it exactly? So it's the next generation of algorithmic reverb. Yes, it's called Crystalline. So make space for lushness. Crystalline is a new state-of-the-art reverb plugin with a pristine and modern sound, gives you unprecedented creative control to shape your reflections, lets you sync reverb, start, and decay times to your song's tempo, and an evolution of classic 20th century studio reverb fully upgraded for today. And let's have a little look here. Discover Crystalline, a studio reverb for the current era. A perfect algorithmic reverb is often considered the holy grail of digital audio effects. In fact, the idea can be traced all the way back to the research papers from the 1960s, and throughout the 20th century, algorithmic reverbs evolved thanks to the companies like EMT and Lexicon, but limited computing power at that time forced manufacturers to work within narrow constraints. Fast forward, and we now have the resources to do things that couldn't be done during the golden age of studio reverbs, both in terms of sheer sound quality, but also in terms of adding creative features that weren't possible in the hardware days. And Crystalline stands on the shoulders of 60 years of chasing the holy grail of DSP. We've asked ourselves what the pioneers of the legendary digital reverbs would have done if they had the resources we have today, and then we've made exactly that plugin with all the bells and whistles of a modern engineer would need. Now, if we have let's have a quick listen here. We've got like a dry sound up and then it goes wet. But what I was going to say is that with the video that I did on Crystalline, I've had a few comments in that comment section on YouTube, is one of my viewers or listeners says that this is the best reverb they've ever used, and they have quite a few different reverb emulations and plugins. And I have to say, it's pretty damn good. Let's have a quick listen. Let's listen to the demo, because it's the only way you're really going to know. Check this out. This is a sound up dry, and it will go wet with Crystalline. Here we go. Now that's just one example. Let's move on to keys reverse reverb, dry. All right, wet. Wow, that is insane. Check out vocals.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, and the last one here we'll check out is guitar. Here we go, guitar mega. And here we go on. Wow, doesn't that just change the whole vibe? Just having it on the guitar there really opens it up, really makes it sound really lively. There is so much control that can be done on this plugin. I know that I'm not deep diving on it here in the podcast, but definitely go check out the video where I did a quick overview of it, what it can do, how it sounds. But I think from those demos alone, you get a good idea of how bloody good this Baby Audio Crystalline plugin sounds. And I dare say it's probably this is going to be one of their best plugins of all time. I've just got a good feeling about it. It's probably going to win an award this year. Baby Audio really fetching up the awards as well, just doing fantastically. And Crystalline is no exception to their lineup of plugins. Absolute stunner of a plugin. All right, let's move along to our native instruments news. We've got 3 little things here I just wanted to quickly go over with you. The first one here is there is a special going at the moment with the native instruments Maschine, whereas if you purchase the native instruments Maschine and the Maschine Plus, you get some free expansions, which is pretty cool. I believe it is 4 expansions for the MK3 and you get 8 expansions if you get the Maschine Plus. And we're not going to go over what the Maschine is. You already know what the Maschine is. It's a finger drum machine. Actually, the Maschine Micro, you get 4 expansions as well. So how it works is once your new machine arrives, you register it in the native access and follow the on-screen setup guide. If using Maschine Plus, you'll receive an email that includes a voucher code to use for your expansions of your choice. I just thought this is a cool little promo to have at the moment because there's nothing worse than getting a new instrument and then not really having all the samples that you need. And at least this gives you the opportunity, because they have such a plethora of awesome expansion packs. This gives you an opportunity to find the expansion pack you like and then add them, like the ones you want. Like you might want hip hop, trap style, samples, or you might want techno, gritty Berlin sort of but techno music. And you want those expansion packs, then they're going to deliver for you. Now, this is an interesting part of my podcast. There is a freaking helicopter flying outside, so hopefully you cannot hear that. It seems to just be hovering straight over here. They probably want to hear what's happening on Emlyn in the mix this week. They need the news. What is the latest in music technology? And that's why they're hanging around. All right, this next one, this is cool. So the link for this, I'm going to have a link for this down below in either the podcast. We're going to put links in the podcast description, not subscription. Link in the podcast description on this, because this is pretty cool. And also in the YouTube description. Don't say subscription, but you can subscribe, of course. I've just got subscription on my mind because for some reason my YouTube channel, which doesn't always have a lot of subscribers, it does steadily grow, but all of a sudden the subscriber base is just growing rapidly. I must be doing something that makes people want to subscribe. Maybe because I keep saying it. Anyway, back to this. There's going to be a link to the description in YouTube and the podcast for this. You should check this out if this appeals to you. They must have done a deal with Arturia, Native Instruments and Arturia, friendly terms. These 2 companies occasionally do this deal, but this occasionally do deals like this. They haven't done this deal before. This is freaking amazing. So right now, Arturia and Native Instruments have teamed up to present this to you. Elevate your creative process with Arturia's groundbreaking software, fit for any genre and level. Dive into the legendary instruments emulations with Collection 8, which is basically the whole collection of Arturia's instruments. Become a creative sound sculptor with Pigments 3, which is an amazing soft synth. I have checked that out on the channel. Check that out if you get a chance on the Emlyn in the Mix channel. And polish your tracks with Studio Grade Effects Collection 2. All at 50% off. Yes, that's right. You heard it. If you've been eyeing off any of the Arturia software, now is the time to get it. I don't know why or how they've teamed up with Native Instruments, but they have, and it's at 50% off. Again, link in the description below for this one. So the software trio to draw out your deepest sonic fantasies. So you can get 50% off the V Collection 8, which is everything. So it's the 28 faithfully emulated iconic instruments from the biggest moments of music history. Browse over 10,000 inspiring presets across synths, keys, string machines, and samples, enhanced with contemporary touches. And Pigments 3 is a powerful combination of wavetable, granular, virtual, analog, and sampling with intuitive vision modulation. This version includes 1,200 presets, a new harmonic engine, a new sub-oscillator, 2 new noise players, a new Dupe 8V low-pass filter, and new effects. And then you've also got the FX Collection 2, which is also 50% off. Achieve a professional finish with 22 vintage and modern plugins, including modulation effects, compressor delay, reverbs, preamps, and filters, all advanced with modern features, offering 3 new mix bus processors, including Arturia's original bus Force. So these are 3 heavy hitters. I love Arturia. I think Arturia make unbelievable plugins. I do have the V Collection 8, and we do need to cover a lot of these instruments because they're just absolutely fantastic. Let's have a quick listen to an audio demo of the V Collection 8 here. Oh yeah. Here comes some leads. It's hard to believe this is software. Yeah, Arturia have nailed the analog emulated sound. Absolutely nailed it. I'm just going to stop that there. That is an absolutely fantastic demo. I didn't want to stop it short there, but we have to keep moving. But basically, what you heard there from that demo, that's all software. It's all software. There's no hardware at all in that demo we just heard there. And that is just some of the instruments you get in V Collection 8. If you're watching here on YouTube, you can see some of the instruments up here, and this is going over what is actually new. You got the Vocoder V, you got the Jun 6V, you got the Ob XA-V, and the Emulator 2V. Anyway, and then there's Pigments 3, of course, which is a separate beast all of its own, and you got the FX Collection 2 as well, which includes the Delay Tape 201, Rev Spring 636, and the Bus Force. Very nice indeed. But look, link for this in the description below. If you like what you heard there, you're going to love this. And if you've been eyeing off Arturia, this is the time to get it 50% off. Absolutely fantastic. All right, let's get to our feature for today. And it is a brand new instrument for the Contact player. And it is, again, we're looking at native instruments. Sorry we went all native instruments on you guys today, but sorry but not sorry, because Native Instruments is one of the top tier music technology companies in the world. I personally have a not only nostalgic passion for Native Instruments, but absolutely I'm a fanboy of Native Instruments. I'm going to keep it real with you here on the podcast. No hidden agendas. This is how I am. I'm coming out for you guys, Native Instruments fanboy. No, but in all seriousness, I've had Native Instruments plugins since the dawn of time, what feels like the dawn of time for me, because I even remember probably my second computer music workstation that I built. I had Native Instruments, and it was the early days. I think it was had a B3, like an organ emulation. Oh gosh, it had what was that? Absinthe. I don't know which version, probably Absinthe 3 or 2. I mean, and I came what I thought was late to the Native Instruments game. They've been around for a long time. Like this was 2001, maybe 2002. I might have had an early version of Contact, although I don't think it was called Contact. Anyway, my brain is not serving me correctly on the memory here, but let's look at the future now, because that's where we are. Playbox. Playbox, what is Playbox? Randomize, inspire, play. So it is a unique combination of handcrafted chords and multi-dimension sound design. It has over 200 chord sets that give instant harmonic ideas that can be randomized and tweaked. And you can start and finish tracks with over 900 stunning samples or load in sounds from any library. That's the part I like too. I like that you can have user samples as well. Now, there is also for this, not only do we have the Arturia link down below to 50% off, we're going to have a link for this Playbox. If you like what you hear today, click the link below and go out and order Playbox. One thing I have to say about Playbox, and probably my favorite thing about it, is that it instantly, because of the chord sets that it has, it instantly inspires song ideas. You can write a song pretty much straight away because of the chord sets. Because what it does, it has these really nice chord sets, and you can play them in any variation of ways, and that gives you inspiration to make something new. Now, I'm not going to play the demo here because I actually have Playbox loaded here into an Ableton Live session. So let's just get started. I'm going to play around, show you how easy it is to come up with song ideas. Got my keyboard over here, just under my boom mic. We're just going to move it across a bit for me. Okay, so right now we're on Chords Glow. I've just got samples, piano, Tigris is called, that particular preset of samples, and we've got some effects, Strumline. Let's have a listen to what we got. So if you have like an idea of rhythm and timing, you can just start writing music straight away. Obviously, I'm just playing to the tempo of this particular, instrument that's playing, which I believe is synced at 120 BPM, which is what my DAW is just default opened at. But you get an idea of, without like just this particular chord's glow, I mean, I can play it in a different arrangement. We'll try. You get the idea, so it just depends on how you play it to that rhythm. Let's go through some different chords. We're going to keep those same instruments, and you'll hear it totally changes the way. See? It's also sort of changed the rhythm. That's called Go to Bed. See, you're already getting like an idea for a song. And you've got also you can change. You got bit crush here, sharper, strum, and it's got like this XY thing, so we can sort of move that around. Change the speed of it. You could play like a real hyperpop track with that kind of speed. Now let's look at samples. We don't want to keep hearing the same samples. We can click through piano. I like the speed of that. That's cool. Let's keep going through our samples here. Now you can hear a lot of samples going at once, and what Playbox is actually doing is it's using a multiple samples at the same time and putting them into that chord set. Hence you get that, you can hear it like a bunch of different samples going at once, right? But they're all collectively working together in tempo and in chord set, which is really cool. And there's also obviously some effects there. We can go through, change the effects. We're loading a different one here. And it really does give it a different vibe. Now you've got dices on everything if you just want to roll a dice, and let's see what happens. We'll roll a dice on chords, roll a dice on samples, and roll a dice on effects. All right, let's see what happened here. Whoa, it's just like that was just something that we rolled a dice on, and you could instantly see how you could create like a song just out of that. Like, I don't know, I'm getting drum and bass vibes from that. Let's do another. I actually prefer rolling the dice. Let's roll the dice, and then I'll show you just a little bit deeper of what you can actually do here. We're just rolling the dice on all three: chords, samples, and effects. Here we go. Trippy. Whoa. That's pretty trippy. You've also got the dice roll here. We can roll it there. Doesn't look like all the samples are in play. Okay, so let me just show you how this works. So if you want to go further editing, you can click on your chords. That'll take you into your chords section here. And you can hear each individual sample and where they are actually scaled. And then I could turn that on or off. And they're all in scale, of course. Now, if we were to go, we can jump into the chords preset section, and then we've got all different chords here. We can choose, for example, falling, go back to chords, and this will be different. So they're different. And if we jump over, they're vocals, so it sounds pretty strange. We jump over to samples here. And we can actually, obviously, we can change each individual sample. We can randomize a whole line here. We can go, like over here, we can go synths, instruments, bass, voices, noise, all factory. So we go to bass, for example, roll a dice. It's only going to show us bass here. So now what this is going to do is going to mix bass and these vocal samples like that. So I don't know where that is on my, there you go. Because if you wanted to say you wanted the just the bass and the vocal, then you're going to get that, right? So you go. Pretty cool, huh? And yeah, if you want to mix different things, maybe you want to put synths in here, we'll just randomize it. So now we've added, and it's all in the same scale and chords. So now if we play, so you can come up with some pretty far out and different ideas. And then obviously you got your user section as well, where you could load your own samples. I haven't actually loaded any samples into here just yet. But let's add, what about instrument? And we'll roll a dice on that. So this is giving us an instrument, an interesting sounding instrument. That's cool, it's kind of harmonizing. I really like this instrument because it can give you layers upon layers of really interesting stuff. And I love the dice. You can just roll dices here and just get totally different. So basically what that's done, when I rolled the dice there, actually, because we've got voices, bass, synths, instruments, and then voices, all it's doing is it's randomizing the different samples, but keeping them in those categories. So now we've got the same categories, different samples. Okay, we're getting all Aphex Twinny here. Tell me that doesn't sound like Aphex Twin, come on. This instrument, honestly, if you need some inspiration in your life, you need something new, you want to be able to write songs quickly, and you like these sounds, go get it. Again, I'm going to put the link down below for you guys in either the podcast description or the YouTube description, as I said before, when I was fumbling around with subscription and description. Anyway, that is pretty much Playbox. I know we've got effects over here we can jump over. It's very standard contact behavior. They've done a really good job though. I don't want to downplay it because you got all your different effects here like lo-fi, stereo, filter, tape, delay, reverb, limiter. It's a really nicely laid out effects section and you can get right in there and, you know, change. For example, on lo-fi, you got your crush. We can boost your crush and degrade it. And the effects, of course, Native Instruments, they're super high quality. The filter's really nice too. We've got our filter here as well. We can open that right up or we can close it right down. So a high pass filter there. You've got tape as well, which you can, you know, add a bit more grain, warmth. You got roll off, just super high quality. Native Instruments, we know their effects are always great, but these samples are none. They're a fantastic bunch of samples actually that work really amazingly together, and I love how they fall into each scale and chord. But basically that's pretty much it. I think the idea behind Playbox, I'm not going to really deep dive more than that, but there's not really much more I can deep dive on. I think the whole idea of Playbox is actually just to mess around, experiment, and find what works for you. And I found that just by messing around and experimenting with this, you could come up with song ideas almost instantaneously. And that's what I like about Playbox. Definitely give it a go. Check the link below if you want to just check it out and have a play with it. But if you really love it, you should maybe consider getting it. I think it's an incredible sounding instrument and it works within the contact player. So you need to make sure if you don't have any of Native Instruments software, you need to at least download the free. You can get it for free, the contact player by Native Instruments. But yeah, I love it. thank you so much for joining me today, guys. We're going to have to leave it there. It is my birthday, so I'm going to go out and relax now. We did do this a day earlier. Like I said at the start of this podcast, so hopefully no brand new crazy drops in the next 24 hours, because I do like to keep it to the end of the week for you guys so that I can get all the latest news to you guys. But we'll be back next week anyway with another Emlyn in the Mix episode, as we do every week. Thank you so much for joining me. And until then, have an awesome week creating music, whatever you are doing out there. There's so much cool stuff to check out. Even in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've checked out so many cool new instruments. There is definitely bound to be something out there that is going to inspire your creative juices. And I think we've covered most of it here on the Emlyn in the Mix podcast. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Peace out. Boom.